Hi, and thanks for checking out Prairie View Wealth Partners. We appreciate you looking at our site. Hopefully that gave you a feel for who we are, and we appreciate you signing up for this free video, the 6 things to do before pulling the retirement trigger. If you're thinking about retiring, it can be a really scary time. What we find is that our motto of live your legacy with confidence can truly be achieved if you're well prepared and you feel like you're well prepared. So let's give you kind of 6 steps that you can go through that will hopefully help to lower the overall anxiety or trepidation that you might be feeling and get you set up on the right track so that you can retire with confidence. So number one, as you're considering this, we would suggest that you set a realistic budget. Now don't cringe, don't get a little nervous on me. When we talk about a realistic budget, what that means is, yes, controlling what you spend, but when we think about retirement, it actually looks a little bit different than that. The way I like to think about it is if you looked back at your spending habits, you would probably find that you spend the most amount of money throughout the course of a week on the weekends. Now that you're thinking about retiring, guess what? Every day is a weekend. And so we may need to look at increasing your budget a little bit to afford some of the things that you might want to be doing. Projects around the home, maybe a little extra travel, spoiling the grandkids, those kinds of things. The other thing we mean when we talk about a realistic budget is you have to look and see, will I be spending money the same way at age 55 and 65 when I'm 85 and 95? And the answer is probably no. So many times we'll help our clients work to maybe overspend a little bit now while they're healthy, while they have some ambitions and things that they want to do, so that they will underspend as they slow down a little bit later on in retirement. So number one, let's set a realistic budget. Number two, let's develop an income plan. When we talk about an income plan, there are a number of factors that you're probably thinking about. When should I start Social Security? If I have a pension, what choices do I choose with that pension? With my 401k, do I take monthly distributions? Do I take a lump sum? What do I do with all of that, and how does that come together? Our suggestion is that we can map out your income for the next 5 or maybe even 10 years. We can help you make the decision around how to choose Social Security. Do you take it now or do you wait? Same thing with a pension. What's the right choice for you to make? In addition to that income plan and kind of mapping out where it comes from, we also have to be very cognizant of the tax situation that you're in. So what is the timing of taking a distribution from a Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA? Should you actually be considering doing Roth conversions right now? All of that income planning has to come together so that we're not overpaying taxes. Rather, you're paying your taxes in a very appropriate way. Number three, once we've come up with the right budget, once we've come up with the appropriate income plan, we need to stress test the program. How likely are you to succeed in your retirement? And we can do that. We can run models that will allow us to say, what happens if the market goes down the day one of retirement and it lasts for a while? Will you still be able to live the retirement that you want? What happens if the markets do nothing but go up for 15 years and then go down? Again, we can play around with that a little bit. So it's important for you to know, what margin of error do I have? Obviously, nobody knows the future. We don't know what that's going to look like. But by stress testing the portfolio or stress testing the overall retirement plan, you can have more confidence that you're as prepared as you can be to enter that phase of life. Number four, you need to evaluate your life insurance. Now, it might seem a little counterintuitive. Most people that we run into will think about life insurance as something that they need when the kids are little, or when you're young in your career, you have a spouse or a family that is going to need your income for a long period of time. Many times people think, hey, a lot of that early years stuff is done. The mortgage is paid for. Kids are through college. I'm not working anymore, so I don't have that income. What possibly could my family need life insurance for? Many times what they don't think about is how much income a spouse will lose when one spouse passes away. In addition to losing income, the biggest thing that people don't calculate or don't think about is the fact that your spouse instantly becomes a single taxpayer, which if they kept the exact same income, their tax bill just went up dramatically. So it's something we have to look at and just say, is there a need or is there a purpose for life insurance? Number 5, on the other side of things, is long-term care insurance. Again, those are two topics nobody really likes to talk about. They're not the fun topics. The fun topics are how are we going to spend our money and how are we going to spend time with grandkids, all that kind of stuff. However, if God blesses you with a very long life, many times you might need some measured or some regulated health care in your later years. If that's the case, we have to plan for how are we going to pay for that. Long-term care insurance is not always the right solution, but for some, it's right for them, and it's appropriate that at this phase of life, you start looking at it. Typically, the right time to look at long-term care types of insurance is between the ages of 55 and 65. We can go a little bit past that, but ideally, that's the time period to look at it. And 6, we need to adjust the portfolio. When we talk about your investments, many times these days, inside of 401ks, we have a lot of people that are investing in what are called lifestyle target date types of funds. What those are, and they're great vehicles, great for when you're working, great for when you're saving and building up to retirement. When you get into retirement, not so good. And what I mean by that is we call those pooled investments. It's a way that you can measure the risk that you want to take, and that risk level then is appropriate, and the company is managing those investments for you behind the scenes. The problem is that you only see one name on your statement, and that one name holds all of these diversified investments. That's the pooled approach that we're talking about. One bucket, everything inside of it. The problem with that is I picture it kind of like a bucket of soup. If I take a ladle and I want to ladle out some soup, I get a little bit of everything. And that's what goes in my bowl. I can't just say, you know what, just give me the celery or leave the celery out or any of that kind of stuff. It all comes out at the same time. Well, when you think about that, while you're working, it's perfectly fine because you're not taking money out. You're buying along the way. So that portfolio is going to serve you well. However, when it comes to taking money out and we have to ladle everything and all at the same time, you can shoot yourself in the foot because now if the market is down, you have to sell what's down in addition to what's up in order to get the distribution that you need. You can't, it's kind of like if you think about the market, you want to buy low and sell high. Well, in this scenario, sometimes you're forced to do the opposite, to sell low. So when we talk about adjusting your portfolio, you can keep the exact same risk level that you have, which from our perspective, just so you know, we would suggest that you don't get extremely conservative in retirement. And the reason for that is you still have a very long horizon. If you're 65 today, you have a very high likelihood of seeing your mid 80s to early 90s. That's a 25 to 30 year time horizon. That's a long time. So we're not suggesting that you get really conservative with your portfolio. We're suggesting that you get an appropriate level of risk, but that we unbundle it to make sure we're very specific in how those assets are allocated. So if you need money, we can say let's take it from what's up, not what's down. So our suggestion to you is follow these 6 steps. Let's get together, let's talk through all of these pieces, and let's help you to be confident that you can live your legacy the way that you want to. Thank you, and be well.